Welcome to the Gatekeepers Podcast with Billy Grove, where the fence world gets real, raw, and unfiltered. Billy's not just an industry leader, he's a hands-on pro who knows what it takes to build quality fences and strong teams. So grab a cold one, settle in, and get ready for straight talk about the trade. Today's show is brought to you by Mr. Fence Academy, National Metal Industries, J.C. Gurry Signs and Decals, and Orlando Hinge Company. If you're looking to hit the next level in your fence company, check out Mr. Fence Academy. Real fencers, real job sites, real training equals real results. And now, live from the Mr. Fence Academy studios, here's your host, Billy Grove.
What is going on, everybody? How's all the fence fam doing? How's everybody doing on this fabulous Tuesday evening? It is freezing in Pensacola, Florida, guys. It is cold. I hope everybody's had a wonderful past week, put some fence in the ground, stained some fence, collected some checks, all of that stuff. It's going to be a great show tonight. We have returning guest, Mr. Caleb Roth of Stain and Seal Experts, or Expert Stain, on, and we're going to be talking about some things. Stay tuned, and he will be on in just a second. First and foremost, though, we do have to give a huge shout out to our sponsors who make this show happen every single week, on time or late. I was not late this week, and I did not forget my power cord for my laptop this week either. So already got two things crossed off the list. All right, so if you guys are looking to up the level of your fence company, whether it be the business side or the installation side, I highly recommend y'all to go check out www.mrfenceacademy.com. Even if you don't join up with the academy, get yourself to one of the trainings, learn some stuff, network, meet some people. It's an awesome time. Next up, we have National Metal Industries. They just dropped a new handrail box kit. Comes in 6 foot wide and 8 foot wide sections, 3 foot tall, black and white. You can go check that out over at www.nmifence.com. While you're there, go check out their fence materials, fence tools, privacy slats for chain link. They got it all, man. www.nmifence.com. If you guys are still looking for a fence sign to put on your nice, pretty finished fence, go over to www.jcgurry.com and give those guys a holler. Awesome signs. They all come with Mylar lamination, make it look good 10 years down the road. Last but not least, guys, we got Orlando Hinge Company, aka the Swan Hinge. If y'all are still struggling with these uphill swing double drive gates on one side, making nasty looking cuts, leaving huge gaps at the bottom, I promise you these things do work. They're so super easy to install. Go check them out over at www.swanhinge.com. I have now installed probably 15-20 sets of them, and I love it every single time. So does your client at the end of the day. So highly recommend. Do yourself a favor, go check them out. Boom. All right, guys, like I said at the beginning of the show, we do have Mr. Caleb Roth on, a returning guest. And with that said, we're going to go ahead and bring him on the screen and get rolling.
Hey, Billy.
How are you doing tonight, man?
Going good, man. I heard it's like 62 degrees in Florida. You guys all right?
Oh, dude, it was 21 degrees this morning.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, man, we're all right, but we look like a bunch of kids from the Christmas Story. Can't put our arms down outside with all the jackets we got on.
Iguanas falling out of trees and stuff.
Yeah, man. There's ice on the roads and all that stuff, and we're in Florida, so they don't have ice or like snow trucks or salt trucks or any of that stuff. So it's a whole different animal whenever that happens down here.
Yeah, global warming or something, I think.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Appreciate you bringing me on the show, man. Excited to be here.
Absolutely, man. I'm excited to have you on. And we have a big event coming up for you guys, March 4th and 5th in Lebanon, Tennessee. And that is going to be Stain and Seal University, correct?
Yes, sir. That's it.
Awesome. for those of for those who are watching and listening who have not just never been but never heard of the event, can you give us a little nutshell breakdown of what it is?
Yeah, for sure. So well, first of all, as a business owner, like you're kind of, if you really want to grow your business, you've got to go to training events to learn hands-on stuff for your trade. You got to go to business, mastermind coaching, things like that. You've got to go figure out what the new products in the industry are. And if you're a good human, you're probably thinking about something motivational, inspirational, things like that. And so we try to take all four of those things and put them into our event. So there's going to be hands-on training there. We've got a fence install school Sean King's putting on. We got deck staining school, fence staining school, wood restoration school, bidding, all of these things. Then we've got business coaches coming in to do keynote speeches. We've got inspirational people coming in to talk business related, but more inspirational kind of stuff. And then we've got a whole expo floor where we've got all kind of vendors that are really specific to our trades. JC Gurry will be there, I'm told, and along with others, that are in our space. And so we try to make it the one event you got to attend for the year. If you're in the wood care space, if you're doing fencing, if you're doing, particularly if you're doing pre-stained fencing, things like that, we want to be that one-stop shop to get it all done with one event.
I love it. I love it. And what is going to be new or different at the event this year?
Well, probably everything. First of all, we got a new venue, so brand new building, huge space. It's gone from kind of a homespun thing to something that's more like world class now. So we've got a great venue. It will be as good as any trade show you've ever been to as far as the facility. And it's close to things, right? So we've done them in the past where it was kind of a 30-minute drive to go get something to eat. Now we're right in the middle of town, so which is a lot easier for people traveling in for the event. But also we've got a lot more vendors. We've never had this many vendors. We've also got a lot better speakers. We've had some really good speakers. We've had Tom Reber there. Had a lot of guys in the space, but this year we've got some really good speakers. I think are going to be really instrumental in helping guys grow their business. So that's kind of the thing. And you come, you learn, you network. Probably the coolest thing I think we're doing this year is we're doing an after hours event, which we've always done, but we've got a big pergola thing with a fireplace. So we'll have a fire, and we've got a mobile cigar bar coming to the event. So all the cigar smokers are going to enjoy that, but that's pretty cool. That's going to be a new thing for the year.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Like it's awesome to hear how much you guys have grown since I think mine was 2021. So that's awesome. You guys have gotten a bigger venue. You're having like an expo floor, so that way vendors can come and set up. It seems like you guys have grown quite a bit.
Well, it's what the people want. So that's awesome. That's our mission to do it. And I guess some big news, kind of announcement, just kind of close this today, is we're now an AFA education partner. So if you've got to get CEUs for AFA, any kind of certifications there, you can get them at any of our Standing University events. So, and we do this one, but we do multiple throughout the year. We've got one coming up in Canada, maybe one in the UK this year if we hold our fingers just right, So,
wow.
So fun times. The wood care industry is growing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so whenever I came, it was my first fence event. All right. It wasn't about building or staining or wood care. It was just my first event in the fence industry. And it opened my eyes a lot to it. Also, I realized that you didn't even have to be in the fence industry to come. When I came, I think there was 2 or 3 guys who literally had no plan or nothing and was like, I'm going to this like event and I'm going to see if it's for me. So like with that said, it's pretty much open for just about anybody, right?
Yeah, for sure. If you've been in the industry for 15 minutes or 15 years, it really doesn't matter. I've got a friend who just quit his job, started an HVAC company. I'm going to have him come. There's stuff there, business stuff. I think that's the big thing that a lot of people miss out on is they get so focused on the new Bobcat or the new spray gun and they get all the cool stuff, but then they never really get that really good foundation of being around really good business people that can help you scale your business, grow your business, things like that. And so we try to incorporate that in. And so those things are universal, right? So it doesn't matter what business you're in, the rules of business are kind of the same. So
right.
That's important to me.
That's awesome, man. So I heard you say Sean King's going to be there doing a fence installation school. Yeah.
Yeah, so one of the sponsors is Go for Wood, pre-stained fencing material, right? And so
Mhm.
talked to Sean and he said, "Hey, you want to do my fence Olympics and provide the lumber?" I said, "Yeah." "You want to do Staining University and build a fence?" And he said, "Absolutely." So
There we go.
they're actually going to do a 4-day training in Tennessee, and one of the days will be at university. So they're going to build, I don't know, 80, 100 feet of no dig. I think it's the King Plus style pre-stained fence. So it'll be
Should
cool to
be.
see that go up and how fast they can do it. So that's going to be fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, like for you guys who are primarily in the installation game and you're looking to
Mhm.
get into the staying game, you also get a little tidbit of some like driven posts and some King Plus style as well. So,
Yeah.
um, add another thing into why you should be there March 4th and 5th.
Yeah, if you're a fence builder in Middle Tennessee, what have you got to lose? It's bring your guys. I think that's a big deal. Is bring so many guys go to events, but they don't bring their team, and so especially for people in Middle Tennessee or the Tennessee, Kentucky, Alabama, Georgia area, come to this and bring your team and let them get some hands-on training.
And not just the hands-on training, man, but I will be able to tell you firsthand, man, you bring some of your team members to these events, and not just does it go far for them, but like you see the difference whenever they get back. They are excited, they're pumped up, they're ready to go to war. It really is more than just, hey, little Timmy, come here. I want to show you something here at this expo hall. Like it goes farther, even just for your team members.
Yeah, the average guy who's on a truck in an installation type job, they go to the supply house, they go to the shop, and they go to the job site. They never get to really get around other people, and so a lot of times those guys can feel like they're on an island. So if you go to an event, any kind of event, but especially one like this, they're going to meet guys that do the same thing they do in 100 cities in the country, and so it really makes them feel like they're part of something bigger and gives them some purpose and gives them something to look forward to. I think they say, "Hey, we saw that company doing this, we should try that. This company is doing that. We want to give that a shot too." And so you see collaboration in the industry. That's really what makes the industry grow.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. And along the way, you might be able to meet some lifelong friends. I have two guys that I met for the very first time at the first event I went to, like with you guys, Mike Moore and Jonathan Bodal. Still talk to them weekly, monthly. I still see them. So that's really cool. Make some connections, network, and you just really never know who you're going to meet and who's going to stick up too. So
Yeah, for sure. That it's networking, man. You're going to find people there that are doing things 10 times bigger than you, and they're going to reach down and help you. They're happy to help, but you're also going to see somebody who's 10 times smaller than you are, and you might just have something that can help them out. So it's a give and take kind of a thing.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, while we're on the same train, why do you think that the hands-on training is just still so important in 2026, the age of YouTube University, and I can learn how to do it on the internet?
Probably commentary. You can watch a video and you can see something done from one angle, but when you get there in person, you see it. There's so much commentary. There's so much nuance that goes on. There is also the opportunity to grab the sprayer, grab the post hole digger, or whatever, and do it yourself too. But I think just being there among people, maybe we're more focused. When usually you're watching YouTube, you got 50 other things in your mind going on. So
Right.
hands-on training, I think, there's always going to be a place for it. But the main thing is when you get there, you got to jump up there and get your hands dirty.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Don't be scared. Don't be nervous. Just like get up there and do it.
Hmm.
And just to go back, whenever I first walked in, I can't remember his name. His last name is Bly. Cody, maybe.
Yeah.
Cody. When I first walked in like 2021, I was nervous. There was probably, I don't know, 70, 80 people there. And I'm like, oh, it's just little old me. I was walking up to get my badge or something. I can't remember. And like Cody walks up to me and was like, hey, man, how are you? I'm like, Cody Bly. And he was like, we're so glad to have you. Here's what I do at like the company. And like he like explained everything. And that was something that really, really, really stuck with me. And it really made me never ever want to try another oil-based stain, just because I met your team members and I like got to know them, and I was like, man, this is really cool. I don't think I could, call up Sherwin-Williams and be like, hey, can I meet your mixologist? And they would probably just laugh at me, right? But it was a very different family approach, I guess I'm trying to say.
Well, I think customer service is an important thing for any business, but we're contractors. We started out as contractors, grew up in the trade. Most of our people, maybe they weren't contractors, maybe they were in manufacturing or something, but we understand, what it's like to have a problem on a job site, have an upset customer, to have, to be 3 gallons short of stain on a Friday afternoon. We understand all that, and so we do everything we can to try to make those problems go away. And a lot of times we can, but we can't fix everything, but everybody knows that our job is our success is our customer success. So that's super important.
Right. All right. Well, where are some of the biggest knowledge gaps in the staining wood restoration industry right now?
Probably terminology. There's so many people. We'll just go to YouTube. There's so many people that put helpful content. Maybe they stained their own deck at their home, and they took, whatever 3 people or whoever at the paint store told them what to do, and you multiply that times 1 million people, and you've got 1,000. You got at least 1,000 different ways to skin that cat. And I think for contractors, the most important thing, the big gap is trying to understand what you're doing, why you're doing it, and what your product does, and then the terminology, so that when people in the industry talk together, we're kind of all on the same page. That doesn't mean that there's only one way to do it, but when I got in the industry, you couldn't even look up on the internet what a wood brightener was,
Right.
And we now know that's pretty common knowledge. But I think if you talk about like technical things that guys can do, is one, they can understand when should you stain your wood, right? Because a lot of people say you got to wait a year, you got to wait a season. Yellow Wood's got a video out that says 2 to 3 days after installation. And the right answer is it really comes down to science, and the science says moisture content. And so if everybody can understand, hey, doesn't matter if it's brand new or if it's old, we got to get the moisture content right. 13% or less, you can use a $30 meter. There you go. Boom.
Yep.
You can't fake that, right?
Right.
And then that's, just one of the things. And then I think for contractors, it's important to use the same material over and over again, because you get good with it. You understand. It's like, I drive Ford trucks. I know what Ford trucks are going to do. I know the quirks. I know how to fix them. There's Dodge guys. There's Chevy guys. And so with penetrating oil stains, which we recommend, those are great because they're not going to peel, crack, or chip on you. They can be applied in cold weather and hot weather. It really doesn't matter, in direct sunlight. So you get a really broad window of when you can stain for a contractor, but also they're not going to peel off and chip and be hard to maintain. So if you're a homeowner or a contractor, you want a stain that you put on, and then whenever you want to redo it, say a year, 2 years, 3 years, you might clean it in a year. You wouldn't restain in a year, but let's say 3 years down the road, you want to, touch up the stain. You don't got to strip it off. You don't got to sand it off. You don't have to use strippers. And so it's important to have something that's easy to work with and repeatable. If the guys that are constantly using whatever the homeowner wants to use, think of aluminum fence. There's 500 manufacturers of aluminum fence. All the rails are different. The screws sometimes are different. Yep. If every single job you had to put in a different brand of aluminum fence, if you ran short on a line post, you go to the truck, well, it's a different brand. You got to route the hole out, make it fence fit, right? We all been there if we grew up in the fence business. You use the same things over and over, so you get good with them, you get repeatable. And I think that's the thing that most contractors need. Doesn't matter what brand of stain you use. If you go to Home Depot, get the same one every time and you get good with it. You learn how to be a better operator with it and give that customer the expectation, or give them the proper expectation. And there you go. 2 cents worth, right?
I love that, man. I love that, because it is so true. Once you work with a brand of anything for long enough, you do find out those little subtle nuances of I can't do this here because XYZ, but I can do this. And just like sticking with a product, like you said, is a very good thing in the long run for you and your business.
Yeah, Clint Eastwood said it very well. Man's got to know his limitations.
There we go.
There
There
you
we
go.
go.
That's right.
Oh man, I love that. So for all of the new guys, what are you seeing being some of the biggest mistakes for the new guys when they first start staining?
Well, probably what I see most, there's 1,000 things, but the most common thing that I see that's the easiest probably to fix is on fencing, they don't use enough stain, and on decking, they use too much. So, there's a lot of ways to stain a wooden fence, and one of the methods that's taught is to use the sprayer and go down all the way across the top of the fence, and then do the panels. And what ends up happening, especially with new guys, is the stain runs down and it leaves runs at the top. And usually that's just a sign you've either got too much stain at the top or not enough down below, right? That's why you're seeing a run with penetrating stain. So if you're seeing runs on a fence and it's been more than 10 minutes since you sprayed it, that means there's not enough stain there. You need to add more stain. If it's a deck, a lot of guys use that same principle on a deck, more is better, and it's not always the case. So smooth wood, laying flat, we don't have the vertical surface like on a privacy fence for gravity to pull the stain down. So on decks, it's a flat surface, and so any excess stain, you're kind of stuck with it. It's not going to go anywhere. So you're going to have to basically, we tell everybody, finish the job, load up the truck, and then walk back, look at the deck. If it's still shiny, if it still looks wet, if there's puddles, you want to wipe that up, back brush it, spread it out, do whatever you can do. But when you leave a deck, it should be a matte finish. So those are the two things. Not enough stain on fences, runs are visible, would be an indicator. And on decks, if you're leaving the job and it's super wet and shiny looking, you need to wipe it down.
Yeah, very true. Very true, man. I learned that little deck lesson on my very first deck that I did. I got done and I thought it was the same as the fence, just flood it. And the next day, the client walked out on the deck in their socks. Thank God they did not walk on their carpet. They just got to the doormat and they picked their foot up and there was a stain mark. And I was like, oh yeah. So I had to learn the hard way to go back and wipe it down, get all the excess oil off. But yeah, that is a very common mistake that I do see on the pages. A lot of guys are saying, I have pooling on my deck, or there's blotches on my fence and stuff like that. I think there was one the other day of Cape Cod. And you reached out and was like, spray it again and it should look fine. And that's absolutely right. But also something that my wife taught me, who went to hair school, is the color wheel plays a major role even in fence and deck staining.
You're right. Yes, sir.
And I had to actually teach a couple of the guys about this because they were trying to go one coat, either slate or Cape Cod on it was at 13.5%. And we had to do it that day. And they were confused as to why we had to do two coats. And I was like, guys, it's the color wheel. We can't go from yellow to gray in one smooth thing. It just doesn't work. And they're like, what do you mean the color wheel? And I was like, see, I'm super glad my wife took the time to actually tell me about this stuff.
Yeah, well, it comes down to overcoming color, right? So if you're going with a brown or a medium brown or even a red color, if you're putting it on something like this, they're similar. So you put it on top and it looks great.
Right.
If you're going from this to gray, you've really got to overcome that. And if you're messing with pine, like in your market, it just sucks right into the wood. And so what we tell people with whites and grays is, or even clears, is to figure a little more stain than you would normally, a couple extra gallons. And instead of just sitting on one panel and trying to get the perfect color, spray the whole fence, see what it's going to do. And then if you want to do a second coat, you can do a second coat, but that way you get the stain on uniformly. Instead of one of the first stain jobs we did with white, probably, 12, 15 years ago. One of my guys, it was a picket fence. He sprayed one panel with a white color, and this was an oil-based penetrating white, and it didn't go white enough. So he sprayed the panel again, and then he sprayed it again, and then he sprayed it again, and he doesn't look like white paint. And we said, well, no, it's not supposed to. But when we went ahead and finished the job, we didn't have enough stain. And so big mistake is to try to get that achieved look instantly. So spray the whole thing, do the fence, do the deck, come back, hit it again. Any other color you can usually do in one coat, but whites and grays, you will have less gray hair if you do gray stains with two coats.
I like that one too. I like that one.
Yep.
All right. So let's see. Let's see. What is things that you're seeing that is separating profitable staining businesses from the failing ones?
That's a great question. It's hard to tell if anybody's making profit. What I've learned in the business is if you talk to a kind of a guy that's got a small business, been in business a few years, and you ask him, how's the economy? How's business going? And they're going to say, oh man, it's great. We're just rocking and rolling. We're doing fantastic. And then you call a guy who's been in business for 20 years, who is quite successful. You ask the same question, and they'll just be like, well, we're down 12%, from where we were expecting we were going to be. The economy shifted a little bit. We're trying to figure out what's going on and make corrections. And so I guess what I'm saying is I don't know if everybody's honest, right? It's like, you ask people certain questions and they might extend the truth a little bit. So, but what I do see is the guys that tend to be the most less stressed, I guess I would say the less stressed and have a more comfortable flowing business, are the guys that take things seriously. Like, you can start with core values, you can start with having a proper CRM, you can start with strategic planning. What are we going to accomplish this year? What are our hires? What are our big goals? If you're into purple coaching, if you're into mastering the Rockefeller habits, which is the coaching program I'm in, if you're into those things, you see that all businesses kind of have 10 to 100 different boxes you can check. And if you check those boxes, things are going to run smooth. They're going to grow. They're going to do well. So I think just really focusing on learning how to grow and operate your business is probably the thing that I think in all business separates the men from the boys. So
Absolutely.
That's kind of my take on it. And so I've been doing these contractor interviews. I'm interviewing tons of stain contractors and fence guys, and I see a lot of guys that are successful. They've got good businesses. They're busy. They've got trucks. They got employees, but they're like, man, I don't have a CRM, or I don't have. There's chaos,
Right.
And so I think the idea is, wouldn't it be better to not have the chaos? Some of us thrive on chaos, but you can find other ways to thrive. So I think just really getting focused on taking baby steps and maybe do 2 or 3 big things, big moves per quarter. Would make a big difference for a lot of guys.
Yeah, man. It's the like snowball effect. Start where your change is small, and as it keeps rolling, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. I think that's a problem that a lot of guys face, is scared of change or trying to change too much too fast. I've seen that, and that can really halt your growth at the end of the day. So, like you said, knowing how to grow properly is a very good thing to fully understand.
Well, and it's tough, right, to know how to properly grow, right? Because a lot of times growth just gets thrown at us. But I do think that you've probably talked to guys like this too, and you say, what's your business going to be in 3 years or 5 years? And they say, well, we're going to be the number 1 fence company in New Jersey, or whatever it is. But they've got no foundation in place now and no clear path to get there. So I think something that guys can do is say 3 years, 5 years, or even 20 years, where do I want to be? And then say, let's say if it's a 3-year goal, if I want to be the biggest, the best, I want to hit a certain revenue, I want to have a certain size team, whatever the goal is, say, well, at the end of that 3 years, what has to be true for my dream to be real? And then, well, okay, maybe it's a list of 5 things. Well, in order for that to be true in year 2, what do you got to do? And then for that to be true in year 1, what do you have to do? And it's real easy to just back yourself into it. And what ends up happening is instead of playing whack-a-mole and hitting up, I got to accomplish 50,000 things this quarter or this year, you could say, hey, we've got these 8 things that are big lifts. Some people call them rocks. Some people call them priorities, but we got these 8 or 10 things we got to get done this year. We'll break it down by quarters. And it, especially for a guy like me, you're thinking, I'm only going to accomplish 10 things this year. That doesn't, like, how's that going to get me anywhere? But once you accomplish those 10 big things, and then you do it again the next year, and then again, before you know it, you can start making those concepts or those dreams a reality. And I think that's the biggest problem, is everybody focuses on what's the word, the urgent, but not necessarily the important stuff that really will make a difference.
Right. Very true, man. Very true. All right. We are going to run to commercial break real fast, and we'll be back in 3 minutes.
National Metal Industries, a family-owned business for 70-plus years, has grown to be recognized for their ability to deliver on not just privacy slats for fence, but all types of fence products. National Metal Industries has all the hardware and tools to get the fence professional in and out of their job with the most ease possible. You can count on National Metal Industries for the most convenient resources in fence products. Visit nmifence.com for more information. As we like to say, you can always pick it right at National. J.C. Gurry Signs and Decals has been a trusted name in the sign industry since 1949, with all manufacturing done in-house from start to finish right here in the USA. With 75 years in outdoor signage and roots dating back to the 1920s, J.C. Gurry specializes in durable, high-quality signs and decals. In-house screen printing since the 1970s ensures every product meets the highest standards. Visit jcgurry.com for more information. Every aluminum sign includes Mylar lamination at no extra cost, extending product life in tough outdoor conditions. For unmatched quality and longevity, visit jcgurry.com. Struggling with a gate that drags on your sloped yard? Orlando Hinge Company has the solution, the Swan Hinge. Unlike standard hinges, the Swan Hinge lets double drive gates swing open smoothly up inclines, eliminating dragging and binding. Easy to install on vinyl, aluminum, wood, and chain link gates. It's built for durability and made to withstand the elements. And when your customer hears that, yes, their gates can work on a slope, you just made the sale. The Swan Hinge, designed by fencers for fencers. Made in the USA, lifetime warranty. Order today at swanhinge.com or email info@orlandohingecompany.com. The Swan Hinge, because every gate deserves to open smoothly.
All right, guys, we are back and just have to do one more quick shout out. Guys, if you are still looking to up the level of your fence company, whether it be the business side or the installation side, go check out www.mrfenceacademy.com. All right. And again, for those of you just joining us, we do have Caleb Roth on, and we got a big event in Lebanon, Tennessee, March 4th and 5th, Staining University. It's going to be a great time, guys. Get yourself there. And real quick, excuse me, how does one go about signing up for this event, Caleb?
Easy. Staininguniversity.com. All the information on the venue, the people that are going to be there, the hotels, tickets, everything you can get right on that website, staininguniversity.com. I'll even put it in the chat to make it easy. But one of the things that we were talking about a minute ago was kind of like strategic planning, or how do you plan, how do you grow, how do you scale your business? And there's a company called Petra Coach. They're one of the biggest and most successful business coaching companies in the United States. Chip Gallant, he's from Petra Coach. He's my personal coach, and I've been with Petra Coach for many years. Anyways, Chip's coming. He's going to speak about this very topic. And Chip, he coaches companies up to almost over $500 million a year in revenue. So he's not only a great coach, but he was an operator. He was in the business, owned several businesses, and CEO'd several businesses. So it's really good to get around somebody like that for free, especially. So Chip's going to come. He's got a great talk for us on Thursday. And if you don't come for anything else, come to hear Chip talk, because he's going to change the way you think about growing your business in a really good way, I think.
That's awesome, man. And you've had some rock star speakers over the year. Like you said earlier, Tom Reber, you got Chip this year. Let's see, Joe Everest was one of your speakers at the one that I went to. And so you guys really, really think long and hard about investing some in yourself and your company. And even if you're a stained master, get yourself there and listen to some of these keynote speakers, man. Really, really soak it all in, because they have some really good information to share with us.
Yeah, for sure. I notice there are lots of masters there. You get a lot of guys that probably more of those guys than the new guys. You get a lot of guys that are really been in it for a long time, and they come to these events every single year. So it's a great opportunity to get with those guys too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And real quick, we're going to run through some of the comments real fast. I was letting them kind of build up. Let's see. We got Bam Bam in the house. Michael Taylor, better known as Bam Bam, guys, if you don't know him.
Yes,
Mr. Eduardo Colorado, Big Blue. Yes, sir, baby. Hey, man, y'all did a slam out job on all that chain link you did for us last week. Thank you so much if you're still watching, buddy. JC Gurry's in the house. They say, hey, guys. Mr. Chris Steele's in the house. What's up, guys?
Chris?
Yeah. He says, Billy, I met you there. Isn't it crazy that we both lived in the same town and we had to go to Nashville to actually meet each other?
Yep.
That's funny. And we got Mr. Kevin Steve, or Devin Van Buren. He said, best stain out there. Absolutely is, man. And then you, of course, posted the link to go sign up for like Staining University. Highly recommended to do that. Chris, yes, sir. We do need to go March 4th and 5th, Lebanon, Tennessee. So let's do it, buddy. All right. So we ran through some of those comments. Here we go. Caleb, what are some of the newer trends you're starting to see, and not just the stain game, but the wood restoration industry?
I'm seeing a lot of gimmicky type ads on social media for product, basically bleach, the bleach things. A lot of guys are using that just because wow factor. You spray bleach on something and it instantly can turn gray wood into beautiful yellow wood until it dries and turns to a white piece of paper, right? But I think those things are always going to come and go. I call them gimmicks. It can be used, but it's a specific way it needs to be used. So I see that happening. Trends, I do see more guys professionalizing. I think the wood care industry as a whole is really underserved. If you go to the average town, there may be 200 fence builders, there may be 3 stain guys. And so I think we're definitely underserved, but I do think the opportunity is huge, not only for new guys to get in and make their place, but also to be the number one in your market. It's probably easier to be the number one stain guy than it is to be the number one fencer or the number one heat and air electrician. Just don't have competition like other industries. We don't have venture capital money in the space yet. And so I think it's still kind of the ground floor. So there's a lot of opportunity out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And are you seeing some of the customers / clients' expectations change as well?
I think as the industry matures, and specifically with penetrating oils, I think contractors begin over time. Maybe their first year they don't, but by the second or third year, they start to understand the expectations that they their clients, and they start to understand how to sell the services. They understand how to. I think expectation is the main thing. I already said that, but the proper expectation to give their customer. And again, it comes down to using the same product over and over, getting good with it. And so I do see less issues with new contractors screwing stuff up, I guess I should say, because there's just a lot more education out there, and people are starting to really figure out how to play the game.
Right. Now, I know in your market, you have more stained fences than you do unstained fences. That is something that's completely backwards here. You might see 200 fences and maybe 3 of them will be stained here. Are you noticing any upward trends in those markets where it's really hard for guys to really not just sell it, but to even push it?
Yeah, I would say that in Nashville, we're still more unstained than stained.
Okay. Okay.
If you go to somewhere like Dallas, there's I haven't spent a lot of time in Dallas, but when I've been in Dallas, I see a lot of stained fences, but I see a lot of unstained. And Dallas, Fort Worth's really the kind of the stain capital of the United States. But what I am seeing is a lot of HOAs and property management companies are writing into their bylaws a requirement to stain the fence a certain color in a certain time. And so I think that's really the low hanging fruit, especially if you can become the go to guy in those communities. With the manager, it's great to get in with the homeowners of the community, but if you get in with the manager, they're going to rubber stamp you into the next community and the next one and the next one. And so I think as time goes on, you're just going to see people getting wiser and smarter that run communities and build and do development to say, hey, we want everything to be uniform. Why do they put white vinyl privacy and they make every neighborhood have vinyl or every neighborhood to have aluminum? It's because they want everything to be, uniform. They want it to look nice. And so as it comes to wood fence, some people want wood. People are generally more satisfied with wood when it's properly maintained. So I think you're just going to see the smart guys are going to chase the neighborhoods that require staining. They're going to get in with those people and become the go-to guy.
Absolutely, man. And our salesman has done just that with a couple of the HOAs in our outreach or in our zone. And we have gotten that like rubber stamp, and all the homes have to be like walnut and all of that. So that is extremely good advice, is getting in like with the HOAs, and not just with the president of the HOA, but the manager of the HOA company as well. Walking in, I don't know, giving them a like $15 Starbucks card and say, hey, go get some coffee on me. While you're at it, think about adding my stain services to all of the like properties that you manage. And I think that's a great way to do it. We have upped our stain sales like since we have done that. And it's really just better for everybody, right? Because we're not in there replacing that wood fence in the next, let's be serious, 7 to 8 years now, especially with the new pine on the market that we are plagued with, unfortunately, down here in like Florida. So I really would love to see in the next 5 to 10 years, like it being more stained fences than the unstained fences here.
Yeah. Yep. There's always going to be unstained fence, but let's get as many as we can, especially with steel post coming on so strong. If you're doing wood post, put a post saver sleeve or a rock guard or something like that on it. I mean, the technology's there. It's a few bucks and you get a fence that lasts longer. And at the end of the day, a lot of guys say, I want the fence to fall down in 8 years so I can rebuild it. The fact is if somebody builds you a fence that falls down in 8 years, they're not calling you back. They're calling somebody else.
Exactly.
So it would be better for them to call you back to stain it 2 or 3 times over that 8 or 10 year or 20 year lifespan than it would be to lose them altogether.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you're like me, I'm not the biggest fan of like tear outs. They're not my most favorite part of like building fence. So, and especially if they're wood posts that I dug and set, I do not want to take them out. Right.
Lots of concrete.
Yeah, man. We dealt with that a couple weeks back, and I actually made a post on Facebook. I said, me saying that I feel sorry for the guy who's got to pull this post has finally come full circle, because I had my own post and it was horrendous. But we do have a question here in the comments. A great one for you. Daniel Hennigan says, is there ever a reason to thin the stain?
Yeah, I see his next comment says he was staining in 30-degree weather, wondering if it's a good time to thin it. Honestly, in the cold months, the wood is generally drier because humidity is low. So Tennessee, we get 90% humidity in the summer. In the wintertime, it's like 30%. So the wood's typically drier, and it'll typically soak in faster. If it's cold, the stain's going to flow a little slower with gravity just because it's colder. But I wouldn't thin it, because when you thin it, it's just going to run off the wood faster. And so it would be better to just leave it thick, you're going to get more on the fence and less on the ground. So there are some times where you might want to thin stain. Like if you were if you were doing some kind of hardwood or something, there's guys that will thin stain there, but generally the answer is really no. Or if you were trying to make the color, change the color or something, you might thin it or something, but generally you wouldn't want to thin it. It's just as it should be out of the box.
Yep, there we go. And I tell people who ask about staining their own fence all the time, I'm like, you guys go get some expert stain. And if you had enough money, you could literally take the 5-gallon bucket and throw it on the fence and walk away and be done with it. And they're like, really, it's that easy? I'm like, it's really that easy. Like, don't actually do that, right? But like it is really that easy to like put on, and it's a product that I love using.
Very forgiving.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So we got Mr. Sean Bahinsky. He says, custom machine monitoring ink will be in the house. Can't wait, guys. It's been great getting to know Caleb and love what he is doing. I recommend Bam teaching line dancing.
Yeah, this guy's a wild man. He so they manufacture vinyl routers, and great folks up there, and they'll be at Staining University, so it'll be fun.
Wonderful folks, man. Have you been to their operation?
No, I have not.
Very, very tight-knit group of guys who will literally do just about anything to make sure that their product is running the way it should be for you. So it was pretty insane to know that they have a guy who takes calls from overseas that works a completely different schedule, so that way he can take tech issue calls from all their overseas companies. I was like, man, that's really great. Like, they actually
hardcore, isn't it?
really do care about not just the sale, but the end product and making sure that it works all the time.
Well, nobody wants downtime, so it's good.
Right. All right. So let's see what we got next. Oh, all right. I'll scroll down over here. So, as I mentioned before, when I said, let's be honest, 7 to 8 years replacing the fence, are you noticing any changes in the lumber, cedar, pine imports in the last couple years?
I think the fence guys have probably got a better finger on the pulse of what's going on overall. But one thing that I'm seeing is a lot of people bring in import cedar and they give it 1,000 different names. You know, I've heard it called redwood. I've heard it called northern wood. You know, guys are bringing it in, they're marketing it, right? And so I think you're going to see more and more imports coming in. I don't know how the tariffs are going to affect that. It doesn't seem to have affected anything yet, but I just I don't know. I think you're still going to have pine markets. You're going to have Western cedar markets, and I think the import cedar is going to make its way pretty much everywhere, like it already is beginning to do. So I don't know.
Very true, man. All right. Ooh, what did I do? There we go. Fixed it. Sorry about that. So the wood care and the staining community is really a tight knit group. Overall, what do you think led to it being such a tight knit group? I see a lot less arguing over stupid stuff in y'all's group than I do in all of our groups. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it could be that the staining business generally has a much higher margin than a fence install, and so I don't think guys tend to compete nearly as hard. There's, again, underserved market. If there's 200 fence builders and only 3 guys staining, there's so much out there for people to get. We can't get it all. Even if we wanted to, we couldn't. You know, the 3 guys in the market couldn't produce it all. So prices tend to stay at a elevated, at a place where guys can be profitable. And so I think that's probably it. I think the stain guys have learned that collaboration is better than, you know, the opposite. And they just tend to work together. They share tips. They, you know, hey, I'm short some stain, and a guy will bring them some stain. And that same stuff goes on in the fence business. I don't think people are at each other's throats, but we don't have venture capital. And, you know, when venture capital gets involved in an industry, profit's the #1 name of the game, or growth. You know, even if it means you're losing money, you would grow to have a valuation. We don't have that. So in the stain business, it's guys out there trying to make a living, everybody's got to make money, or they're not going to feed their family. So I just think that just breeds a little more working relationship maybe than some other industries have.
Makes sense. Makes sense. All right, so we are coming up on the end of the show, but I don't want to leave the show without talking about like Staining University one more time for those guys who joined in halfway through, or maybe who have just joined. You and Stain and Seal Experts are putting on a Staining University March 4th and 5th in Lebanon, Tennessee, correct?
Yep. If you're from Lebanon, it's Lebanon.
Okay.
just like we call Lafayette here in Tennessee. So, but yeah, it's March 4th and 5th. That's a Wednesday and a Thursday in Lebanon, Tennessee, close to the airport. Tons of good food, tons of great hotels, tons of great people going to be there. So looking forward to seeing everybody.
Absolutely. And is this is there a limit on capacity, or is it just
yeah our capacity is about 700 people, so get your tickets before they go. We're going to fill it up, but I think our max is 700 or 750 we put in the building.
Wow, that is such a giant jump from like the 100 and something that I was there. That's awesome, man. That's so awesome to hear for you guys.
Well, let's fill the room. We need you guys to show up and have some fun. And again, it's AFA approved for continuing education. So if you're in the AFA, be a great time to come. If you're thinking about adding staining onto your current fence business, maybe you're thinking about skipping staining altogether, going to pre-stain lumber. There's going to be a class on how to either pre-stain yourself, or there'll be vendors there selling pre-stain lumber. You name it. It's pretty much all there. So getting pumped up, getting excited, and counting down the days.
All right. And last question about Staining University. What are the attendees going to want to bring with them? Or is it just come with yourself and an open mind?
Yeah, man, show up, bring a notebook, bring something to take notes with. You're going to want to take notes. We tell everybody to bring the same thing every year. Bring one problem you're facing in your business, and bring one solution to something that you found as a solution to a problem in your business. If we get 500 guys in the room, there'll be 500 problems to solve, and there'll be 500 other problems already solved. And so I think that's the idea, is if you can get in a room and you can walk away and learn, let's just say 500 guys laid their problem on the table, and then the room collectively said, here's how I dealt with that. Here's how I dealt with that problem. You can walk away with, 1,000 years of experience in business just in 1 or 2 days. And so I think that's the idea of getting in a group, getting in a forum type environment, and learning from everybody else. And it kind of, here's a great example. Like, here's a sheet of paper. The goal here is from A to Z, right? We want to bend it in half and make that trip much shorter. So
here we go.
That's the idea of fast tracking yourself to, mistakes are expensive. Let's learn from everyone else's mistake.
Absolutely. All right. You got any closing thoughts for our viewers and listeners?
No, I would just say get your tickets early, staininguniversity.com. Really looking forward to being there. If you're a supplier or a vendor or something like that, or you sell a product in the trade you think would be a good fit for fence builders, stainers, painters, anybody in that trade, go to Staining University, sign up there. We'd love to have as many folks there as we can get. And that's kind of it. If people got questions about us, just hit us up. You can find us on all the socials. Tomorrow our office will be open. We got all the ice is kind of melted off today, so we'll be back at it tomorrow, and just happy to help anybody we can.
All right, man. Well, hey, thank you so much for taking some time out of your night to come on the show. Always enjoy having you on, for sure. I'm gonna talk to Chris and see if we can't make it up there the 4th and the 5th as well. So fingers crossed.
Bring your podcast gear. We'll have a podcast spot set up. I think all the fence podcasters will be there. So be there, be square, man.
All right, man. Will do. And once again, thank you so much for coming on, Caleb. And you have a wonderful rest of your night. All right.
Awesome, man. Thanks, guys, for watching.
All right, guys. We have a great show lined up for you next week. I have Daniel. What's his first name? I'm gonna mess this up. Hold on, let me pull up. Daniel Lynch from Lynch's Lawn Care and Fence. Super excited to have this guy on. I've personally been watching his journey quietly on Facebook for the last year, and I'm I'm finally ready to have him on and talk about the big things that he's doing over in Louisiana. So y'all make sure to come check us out again next Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, Facebook, YouTube. You can find us on all the major audio platforms for podcasts. And y'all have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday night. Go kick some ass, collect some checks, and be safe overall. See y'all next Tuesday, guys.